And we're back for another Push to Cash episode. The Mid-Ohio Apex Insiders are here. I can tell you this is not my most exciting race that I look forward to. It's probably why it's called Mid-Ohio. Skibbity toilet, whatever you want to call it. But we got Nathan Rogers here. You got F1 Capper. What's going on, man? I know we've got a good calendar coming up here for the next month. So, and starting with Mid Ohio, 4th of July weekend.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not, this is probably one of my least favorite tracks, but I need to trying to remind myself right now of the beginning of the season when they have a race and then take 4 weeks off and have a race and 4 weeks off. So if it's an IndyCar race, I need to enjoy it and I need to try to win some money on it. So that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll take it at this point. I will say, like, I do love how they can keep the short calendar for IndyCar compared to like NASCAR and F1 nowadays. And I like it less saturated because it makes you look forward to the race a little bit more. But that was kind of weird that they did the whole 4-week gap, which will probably change next year. But yeah, this is not my favorite track. I almost actually was planning to go to this race at the beginning of the year. I was thinking about it, and I'm kind of glad I didn't. I've been wanting to check out the track itself. Just overall, I'm just like to do that. But yeah, so here we are. I mean, Palou is dominating, and I think what was this? This was the first race last year where they introduced the hybrids. So officially been exactly a year. We've seen enough from the cars teams to really get a good sample size of what's been going on, which quite honestly has not been the best. But I did mention that like introducing the new hybrids, I don't think I was surprised, to be honest with you. I think that Formula One was a good pulse on some of those changes when they started introducing the hybrids. Some of the similarities were coming across with them. Like it's a little bit heavier, it's getting larger, it's harder to pass, those little things, right? So, but I'm going to keep some optimism and say, moving on year over year, they're going to improve on that platform. So it may not be the best right now because all we've been seeing is Palou dominating, and then you sprinkle in a Kirkwood, twice this year. So I think I'm going to try to keep some optimism for the years moving forward. So, but let's get started with your race preview, and then we can talk some odds and GridRival and everything else.
Yeah, I've never been to this race in person either. I've driven by the exit a few times on some road trips east through Ohio, and so I've seen how far it is, and I'll make it out there eventually, just to see all the tracks. But luckily not this weekend because it's going to be another 90-degree weekend there. But IndyCar's been here a long time. I've looked at stats all the way back to 2007, so this will be the 20th race since 2007. It's a 2.25 mile track with 13 turns. I said this in the chat. There's not really any, like, to me at least, there's not like a memorable turn or a turn I look forward to watching. I'll try to pick up on that this weekend, but it's just kind of how the track is for me. But that 2.2 miles is about half of what we saw in Road America last 2 weeks ago, I guess it was. And so that's going to widen back those pit windows and open up the strategy a little bit, because also they are moving from 80 laps to 90 laps this week, which is moving a normal 2-stop race up to 3 stops, which is pretty standard for what we've seen all year. I don't think we've had a race where anyone has been able to do a 2-stop. So that doesn't really change anything betting wise, aside from it opens the door for people who start in the back to if the cautions are timed right and they keep making the right decision on whether to stay out or come in, that we could see some people from the back end up in the front, probably Scott Dixon, or someone from Ed Carpenter. They seem to follow Scott Dixon or on those strategies too. But yeah, so this is a Honda track I mentioned in my preview here. They sponsor the event, and I think they're on Kyle Kirkwood's car this week. They've won 12 out of 19 races, but Chevy has won 6 of the last 10, so it's pretty balanced. There's 9 former winners in the active driver pool, so that's I think the most of any track. Indy 500 had 7 or 8, and this one has 9, which is pretty wild. Most notably, Scott Dixon with 6 wins here, but his last one was 2019. As far as starting position, in the last 10 races, the pole winner has won 5 of those, and a driver on the front row has won 8 out of 10. The furthest back won in the last 10 years was the starting at 8th, and only 2 drivers starting 10th or worse since 2016 have found the podium. And so 87% of podium finishers start in those first 4 rows. So like you mentioned, it's hard to pass here. A lot of it's done on the pit windows, the pit sequences, and in and out laps. Maybe that number changes a little bit with them going to a 3-stop race, where that'll allow for some people, give them more time and more strategy opportunity to move back from farther. But I would still just focus on who qualifies up front.
Yeah, no, it's I hate that because it's like, to me, feels a little more synthetic of how you get the passing is through the pits,
Yeah.
which I know that's part of the game, right? Strategy and everything, but forcing it in this way at a track like this, I mean, quite honestly, the track layout is fine. If you're just a track guy, right? Like you like to go to the track, it flows well, but in the sense of, the carousel and trying to get through these turns, I mean, you're gonna be killing your tires and trying to do that. So strategically, the best way for you to get by anyone, and I believe it's kind of narrow too compared to some of the other tracks. So getting by other cars, it's not going to be like a Road America where you can have this massive, like, just you can do 3 cars at certain corners basically in certain ways. So it does kind of suck in that sense, but I do like the fact that, yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, I mean, I'm just glossing through again because I remember seeing this multiple times throughout the week where I was like, who are the guys? Like, you look at last year, Ferrucci started 21st, ended up 10th. Kyle Kirkwood started 14th and ended up 8th. Like, but then the rest of the top 10 kind of stayed within that top 10, right? Like, no one really moved. So I didn't go back and rewatch. Probably should have. I just didn't want to be honest with you, because it's such a boring race. It's trying to see those guys, like, how is it that they actually got back up? How did they get up top? Like, what did they do? Was it and for all intents and purposes, maybe we do see cautions that help out. I kind of doubt it, but you never know, right? It is going to be kind of hot. Maybe we see some cars with reliability. It's possible. I don't know. I can't remember what the temps were last year.
It was a hot one also.
So, I mean, like you said, focusing on, if you're shifting to markets outrights, for instance, you got to probably focus on like someone in the front 2 rows that they're going to get. Honestly, for me, I'm not looking any other way than Pelot. I just can't get off that train. I'm sorry. It's just pure greatness and domination right now, and he's just feeling it. And it would not surprise me one bit if he qualifies like P3, and then you see him thinking like, oh man, maybe he isn't going to win this thing, like, through the first stint of the race. And it's probably because he's just managing his car, his tires, fuel. We've seen
Yeah.
this in countless races where you're like, well, maybe he won't. Like, you have that in the back of your mind. Maybe something's wrong. Even at Road America, you're like, whoa, why is he falling back? He knows what he's doing. He's managing his race. So I have full faith in what he can do. I just can't take it at the odds that they're at right now. I'd rather wait, chalk it up if I'm going to do anything, and I'd be okay with that.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah,
well, I
no,
kind of misspoke on our recap of Road America that it was a primary race. It actually was more of an alternate race, which all the road courses have been. Um, but it was closer than like thermal was pretty like you really wanted to be on the alternates and stuff. So what I was more saying is Pelot's, and he's been doing this for a couple of years, and the drivers have spoken on it that they just do not understand it, is how him on the primaries
yeah,
is only a couple tenths off
from the
people on their
alternates.
alternates
Yeah, and he's been doing
when
it all
there's
season. All season.
and so that's other people's weakest stint, but that's when he really like kind of comes alive when he puts on those primaries. It's almost like when he has the alternates on, he's kind of just hanging with people. Which this year he's capitalized more, but yeah, there's just something about the setup, his car, and his comfort on those primary tires, and the comfort zone they have him in when he's on them that makes him like just
Yeah, dominate.
unexplainably good. Yeah.
Yeah, there's been so many times I'm watching practice or quality. I mean, I can't remember which race. It was maybe 2 races ago. Even in practice, like I was like, holy cow, this guy is just crushing on the primaries, even though everyone else was topping as the track was ramping up. And then he goes into quali and he just slaps on the primaries when everyone else is like putting on alternates. I was like, is this guy and he put it on top of the timesheet too. It's normally it's not supposed to be that way, but you know what? That's a testament to him as a driver. And maybe that's what he's doing. Maybe that was his approach going into the season with his engineers, is to say, if we can maximize our output with the primaries, I can make the alternates. I could just manage them. Like you were saying, let me just manage them. I won't even push them. I don't even need a push, because if I can gain that advantage with my primaries, that in itself is just going to be the advantage. Like, I don't need to focus on the alternates to push me forward. The primaries will just push me forward like organically. So that's just what he is, man. He's just so good. Well, let's just maybe talk about Chip Ganassi racing. And like, I know that I know we were focused on Pelot, but let's talk about Dixon. Let's talk about Armstrong and about this race. Like, what do you? I think I'm kind of bullish on Armstrong this weekend, which means he's probably going to do shitty. I actually think that he might actually be in the top 10 potentially. I think he's. We'll see. I don't know. Just feels more than anything, and is historically looked good. So, what do you think? And
Yeah,
Dixon.
I expect a good showing from all of them. Especially Dixon, he just seems to be good here. He's a little like out of sight, out of mind of people, especially in this race last year, because he had that kind of the first hybrid race. His car like didn't start before the race started, or he didn't even make it out, or before the race started, I think his car died. So we didn't get to see Dixon last year.
Oh, that's
And
right. That's right. That's why he ended up last.
dead last, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he just missed advancing in qualifying last year, which prior to that he had made the Fast Six 4 straight years. Ganassi just kind of has a good hold on this track. Dixon's qualifying has slowly dropped off just slightly to where we find him in these situations more. But like I said, with the 3 pit stops, I found Dixon at 20-1. So I kind of pivoted away from below. I like when MGM posts, they're the only book this year that will post below at worse than like even money,
Yeah.
which just makes Well, I guess it hasn't worked out this year because no one else has won, but it makes everyone else's lines just nice and soft that you can pick a few drivers to say, please beat this guy. And so I found Dixon at 20 to 1. I had a $10 free bet to burn, and I put that on. 20 to 1 is crazy for Scott Dixon. He's almost pulled off a win 3 or 4 times this year. He probably should have won St. Pete with his. Um, he had a radio issue that kind of blew his last pit sequence, but then there's been a few other races where Dixon has almost made it up there and it just hasn't worked out. Yeah, as far as Ganassi, I feel good about all of them. It'll be interesting to see if Kiffin Simpson continues his kind of slight improvement over last year, especially at a track like this where they should be good. So maybe a Kiffin Simpson, a sneaky guy to make the Fast 12. If not, Armstrong should be in the Fast 12, maybe even the Fast 6. That I don't know if that's
Hopefully.
like I'm not calling a Fast 6 for him.
No.
This, but
It's going to be tight in that 6 for sure. I feel like it will be tight, but I mean, just on GridRival, which we'll get to later, I was like, I kind of like this, but I'm also like, maybe I'm making a mistake, probably. But yeah, and for the record, the past, I think 3 out of 4 races, now that we don't have qualifying for some reason with GridRival, it's not really worked out well out of 3 out of the 4 races. Kind of giving some money back, and I'm kind of hate it.
Same.
But on the flip side, it's like, well, Formula One started kicking in for me, so I started getting paid out on that. So I'm like, okay, well, at least that's working out. Funny enough, last year I had 3 bets. Actually, let's just say 2, because this is when Palou was dominating and everything, and Mac and I were constantly parlaying Max Verstappen with Palou top 3 for some time. That actually did not hit. It looks like, or actually, I put Palou win on that one. Unfortunately, I had Palou to win, lost that one, and guess what? My matchup was Dixon over Power. I had risk 2.4 units. It was dead the minute it started. So now that it's clicking back, I was like, oh, I remember now. That's why I was super pissed at this race. So
yeah, I think I had matchups with Dixon too, and the thing that sucked about that is that you had a chance to fight that if he would have never started the race.
Yeah.
But he came out like 50 laps later and ran for like 10 laps.
That's what I was like, no, why are you doing this to me? Like, why? And I think he ended up with 40 laps. Yeah, he ended up with 40 laps. I was like, that's what was so frustrating about that. And I have this highlighted red because I felt like last year I had a string of just bad luck, and that was one of them. And I think that almost takes the cake of like, you're kidding me. Like, what are we doing? Like, we could have easily avoided it, but you went back out. So, but that shows like that was the first year of the hybrid, right? Like, there was issues. Hopefully we don't see that this time, but yeah, let's kind of gloss through some odds. So on DK, you have Alex -110. Pato is at 5-1. Kirkwood 7-1. I'm not surprised by Kirkwood being at 7-1. I mean, I figured he'd be anywhere between 5 and 7-1. I'm actually surprised Scott is. I can't. Well, he's plus 750, which I thought he might be a little bit higher or a little bit shorter. I'm sorry, but man, Penske's, God, what are we doing? Like, that's the one guy I would be willing to back, but I can't trust him. I'm sorry. Yeah. I just can't. I can't.
No, I'm getting there. I had a 25% profit boost to use too that I got McLaughlin up to 9-1.
There you go. So that's good.
I did take that just for 0.2 units, which is all I was allowed with the profit boost. But yeah, I mean, something's got to give eventually with him, and so I keep trying to think it's going to be this week and then the next week. But yeah, McLaughlin's a former winner here. He's looked quite a bit better than Power and especially Newgarden here the last few years. If there was one Penske driver that you wanted to, go find some pain with, and it would be McLaughlin, and that's what I'm doing. I found Herta at 12-1, who has started on the first two rows here the last 5 years with two poles. And so just that was kind of a value play of Herta at 12-1. Um, he his qualifying has been pretty good aside from the last couple. His qualifying started amazing the first 5 or 6 races. So I'm hoping he gets back to that form and then he can finally just have a clean race. This is generally a low caution race. 2019 had 8 cautions, which is kind of insane. I don't know if that was rain or what, but and then I took Lundgaard at 14-1, who I think McLaren is obviously strong here. You had Award start second last year and then win the race. And then even Rossi, so in Award's car, Rossi qualified 7th last year. So if you give Lundgaard that same car and let him go to work, I like his starting the Fast Six at 14-1. So I have high hopes. I don't know that Dixon's going to make the Fast Six at 20-1. I'm okay with that, but McLaughlin, Herta, Lundgaard is what I ended up with. I think 3 of those guys can get in the Fast Six with Polo, but I'll take 2 of them up there and see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Love Lundgaard. He's been outside of last week. I know it was pretty wild what was going on with him. He was doing fine too. I expect he gets a bounce back, and this is the type of track that I mean, kind of like similar to last week. These European guys, I guess you could say, they understand this track with the turns, the high speed at points, right, braking and all that. So they're a little bit more comfortable with this versus your street course, right? Like they should feel a little bit more at home. So that's why I mean, to your point, McLaren should be pretty strong here. I expect that like Lundgaard is going to do some good wonders here. What is he right now? He is 10-1 on DK. So
yeah, that's tough. I still think he could end up shorter than that if people wanted to take a small chance on 10-1's not bad. I think he has a good chance of making the Fast Six, which would put him, depending on where he is, anywhere from 5-1 to 8-1. So if you wanted to wait, I understand, but I also think there is still some value in 10-1. I wouldn't go there, but
yeah, I'm not gonna do it, but I like it. I'm still not going to. Honestly, I want to wait and see. Like you said, let's see who's on the top 2 rows. But yeah, if you can get a high number, like anywhere between that 12-1, even higher than that, go for it. The only other one, like, I can't stop thinking about what Louis Foster's been doing. I think that he could do fine here. The guy knows how to race at these types of traditional tracks, and I think RLL does just fine around it or in this area. I mean, we saw it with Lundgaard. Was it 2 years ago? No, that was last year. I mean, he was in the top 10. I think so, man. I think he's legit. He's got it. The only problem with him is just during the race. Sometimes but I think at a track like this, it's going to be less hectic than what you would see at Road America, where everyone is just screaming. Like you have passing in so many different ways. This is more, if he does qualify P1, let's just hypothetically speak, he could just run away with it at the beginning and just take care of his tires. He's got clean air. He just manages his own pace. I mean, the only thing that would screw him up is if he just overdrives the car at the end of the day. So,
yeah, him and Rahal are 80-1 on Bet365. I haven't bet that, but that's not a bad, like, just throw a couple bucks on it if you want something fun, or you could even do the each way bet market that they have on Bet365 that saves you with the podium there, that would be at 20-1 at that number. It's crazy. Rahal started on the front row here 2 years ago. I think they kind of struggled here last year. It was the first hybrid race. I think they were kind of thrown off, but they've shown to kind of battle those demons that they can't kind of fight, like short ovals and stuff, as we've seen the Indy GP and 2 weeks ago at Road America. That yeah, it's when if you're looking for places to take a Ray Hall driver, then it's going to be road courses. I'd probably more lean hoping for a good number on GridRival qualifying. If we get that, I'd be all over that. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to keep seeing Louis develop and see if his race craft can improve by season end.
Yeah, I still think he'll be next year or even the year after where he starts really finding that groove. But I like what this kid is doing. I mean, he's coming in and he's really looking good in these more traditional courses. I mean, he even looked okay at certain street courses. So we'll see. I don't know. Maybe he comes out and he just doesn't like the feel of the track, whatever the situation. But I feel like he's going to be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Ray Hall team may be a good team for these younger drivers because they give them such the best and the worst. Like, they'll show you what a really good car feels like, but they'll also show you what a really bad car feels like. It's probably a good experience for like Lundgaard and probably for Foster these first couple of years to really understand what he likes and doesn't like in a car.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The only other guys,
So I'm out on Ericsson, but he's been really good here.
I'm not doing it.
I'm not, but he's had a couple Fast Six appearances. He was top 5 last year. He finished second, almost won here a few years ago. So couple top. Maybe I'll look for him in a matchup for someone like Rosenquist, who's actually been kind of surprisingly rough here. Like the last 5 years, Rosenquist's average finish was a 22, which some of that was mechanical. I think he's had a year or two of mechanical issues, but I might keep an eye on Rosenquist. Is this maybe just not his place? Another fade person I've been considering, Ferrucci did an interview on a podcast this week and about how excited he is for upcoming tracks, but Mid-Ohio is one of his worst tracks, and he has been focusing on it. But
oh man, I've been just thinking about that 11.5 on. I feel like this has got to be a sell on Ferrucci weekend.
But yeah, I was hoping that Rival would buy into him a little more based off his 4 top 5s in a row. But that's a tough number because it could look really good. Yeah, that could look really good after qualifying. He might qualify like 19th or 20th. You got a good buffer there, but
that's what he did last year too. I mean, he was 21st, and then again, he just had some fortunate situations, and he got up to the top 10. Yeah, that's what just scares me. But yeah, I if it was 9.5, absolutely, I'm like, oh, I'm totally taking worse on that one. 10.5 probably would. 11.5, I've just been kind of stuck. Like, ugh. But there is a correlation with that. Armstrong and Ferrucci are 11.5. So if you think Armstrong, Chip Ganassi is going to do better, you take him and you do worse Ferrucci.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily buying AJ Foyt's team here at Mid-Ohio right now, but they are kind of a wild card for the rest of the year, especially these short ovals. You've got Malukas and then Ferrucci, obviously. And then even at the road courses, Malukas has this pretty good ability on his like 1-2 lap speed to lay it down. And Ferrucci has this crazy ability to just have amazing races, work through traffic, and keep his car clean. And so they're like they started this year really slow, and they're easy fade targets, especially Malukas to start the year. But it does make them tougher to fade with how well they've kind of been putting it together the last month or two.
Well, let's talk about a few cards. I'm pulling it up now. So I did make some. I feel like I made some stupid ones, to be honest with you. I was just like so over. I've done three carders, which normally I don't like doing those. I'll do the occasional one or two for the weekend for like IndyCar. And I just threw out some wild ones. So I think you had some that were kind of mixed the same way, but you might have different pairings. But basically, uh, Dixon better 7.5. I think one of them you had as well. New Garden worse 6.5. You didn't even have to sell me on that. I just am not buying it. I'm sure that he's going to probably somehow end up like top 3. Watch. This is the weekend where he finally does it. Kirkwood 4.5. I'm just gonna fade it like we tried to do last week, and he just ended up there. But I bet if Lundgaard did not have his bullshittery last week, we would have probably hit that though. Just saying. I know.
Yeah, McLaughlin was probably better than Kirkwood was also.
Right.
And then he, to pit seek the cautions.
Let's keep riding it.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. But the one card that I did like, I don't know if you did this, if this is the same exact 3 you did, but worse for Kirkwood 4.5, Newgarden 6.5, better Lundgaard 7.5.
Yeah, mine are kind of mixed, but I like all those. Newgarden hasn't done that well here the last few years. He hasn't made it to top 12 in qualifying in 3 years. Right before that, he did put on pole, but that would have been 4 years ago at this point. And his last 3 finishes are 25th, 12th, and 7th. So, yeah, it's just kind of a prove it thing with Newgarden. He's just really struggling. You got to imagine he's more frustrated than he's probably ever been in his IndyCar career, and that's just the fate. Eventually, they're going to turn it around. He's still a talented driver, but we'll just kind of make him prove it. And then some correlation there with Lundgaard of I think he grabs one of those spots. So, and we touched on Kirkwood. Connor Daly is another person I faded at 16.5 who he's talked about all year. The car is terrible on the primary tires, which they will have to run at least one set of, and he doesn't have a teammate that he can rely on with Stingray to, Connor Daly is going to have to kind of figure it out himself. And he's not necessarily a road course or anything. So, if there's some caution, people wreck and stuff, or if he just gets, on the right pit strategy from cautions, maybe he hits that number. But otherwise, I don't think Connor Daly's a top 15 car on a road course.
Yeah, I like that one because I was looking. The reason why I was doing these 3 cards were they're going to hit eventually because there's a lot of correlation with these. They're bundling them into these spots within the grid, which yes, with all intents and purposes, all of them could do worse or better, whatever the situation may be. But at that 15.5, 16, 17, right? I feel like it's going to be very, very crowded. And the numbers that they were putting for Daly, Rasmussen, and Foster, which we were briefly, Dennis and I were talking about that in the Discord. I was like, man, I was eyeing Rasmussen, but he's so schizophrenic at times.
Yeah.
But he was steady Eddie last year here, so maybe he kind of understands this layout, this track. He's kind of maybe understand. So that's where I was like, you know what, we're gonna just do it. We're gonna do Foster better, 15.5, Rasmussen better, 16.5, and Daly worse at 16.5. That's the assumption that you're going to see. Foster at like 14, really, I wanted to try to include Ferrucci, thinking he's more in the, should be at 13.5 maybe, and he could probably do worse. But like, I'm expecting like Foster's going to do much better than we expect. Rasmussen probably could get into that 13, 14 spot, and Daly DNFs, whatever. He'll be like in the back of the field. So,
Yeah. Ed Carpenter's been tough this year. Like we've struggled picking Rossi.
yeah,
Which Rossi's actually pretty good here, but they just every race they end up taking an alternate strategy. Like even the 500, they had all three of their cars like leading the race because they stayed out, and there's no way to predict that or to
there
put that on
isn't.
it. So it's
No.
just, I mean, you just got to go with what you're feeling and see what happens. But yeah, they just every race you see one of them like staying out, following Dixon or something, and then kind of goes from there. But
I'm just riding this just because actually I did one more than I probably should have. But again, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna throw these out there, and that's why I did 3 cards. Is because if I'm gonna try to nail these, I've been kind of struggling with even my 2 cards, like just the combos is just now I've been hitting. Let's go find the correlation. Let's go find those. Where does that spot lie? And the other, I mean, again, going back to Joseph Newgarden, Kirkwood, and they're all in that same range, right? Like I didn't want to go overboard because I was like, well, I can start including like Herta. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to focus on the drivers that I think who's going to do worse and who's at their caps, the ceiling cap. So like Kirkwood at 4.5. Just I don't feel like he's going to be there at 4.5. He's going to probably end up 7.5. Joseph Newgarden, I'm probably taking a chance on, but I just don't believe in it. I do not believe in it here. He's got was the next one in Toronto, or we're getting to Iowa. So we're getting to short track. So like that's where we'll probably find his groove again. And then Lundgaard, like you said earlier. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the only other one I took Pillow worst 1.5, which if people want to stay away from that, I get that, but that's just a crazy. I'm basically getting the field. I mean, Pillow has finished here second, first, second, and third, which is crazy, but that also technically means that this number hits 3 out of those 4 because the number is so low. That's kind of funny to me that he's at 4 podiums, but would only have hit this number once. I get it if people don't take that, but it's if someone else shows up or if Pelot gets caught out on a weird caution or something, just anything can happen in these races like it has all year. That's just an easy checkbox right there. Easier said than done because he is Alex Pelot and he just keeps doing it. But
100%. Someone was asking about his promo, and I even hated this. So right now they got the promo still at 3.5, and I was like, I don't even like it at that. I mean, maybe promo is only $5 anyways, but I was like, honestly, like it still wouldn't surprise me if he still ended up out of the top 3. But again, somehow he finds his way up and maybe wins the race through strategy, just because he just paces well. He gets out out of dirty air or something, and he puts himself in the position. So
yeah, I'm just gonna make him prove that he's gonna win 7 out of the first 10 races. But I'll do it
for sure. Well, then, do I do it? Do I just like let's just roll with it? What should I pair with him?
So I probably should have put. I accidentally put Dixon with mine, so I had to throw in a third because of just the way that I can't actually place these bets. But I just like Lundgaard.
Well,
he's 7, he's moved to 7, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's moved to
7.
Yeah,
That's tough.
Oh
yeah, that's
man,
tough.
I'm afraid to do Herta, but it sounds so right.
I did have Jacob go worse than 22.5 because this is a low caution race and we don't normally see a ton of attrition here. So that would mean that Jay will probably more have to do it on pace, which he's not shown to do. If that number moves much, then you might go the other way with it. But
Yeah, we were attacking that last week where his number was at 24.5, and I was like, oh, you should just take this by default. DNFs will just get him to better than 24.5, and now they have a 22.5.
yeah, so
So,
you could fade the best driver and fade the worst driver, and
you know
that's
what? That's a fun one. Actually, I
yeah.
like that. I will do that. Is I'm gonna fade. Or well, you also have Stingray at 21.5.
Yeah,
No.
that's not bad. But Abel has been off the pace. Stingray's not good, but Abel has just been off the pace every race.
Okay.
And he's on the worst team, I would say. Um,
I'm doing it. We're doing the 1.5 worse, 22.5 worse. I'll call that my official podcast play. I'm already like in for 4 cards. I can't wait to be in piss with IndyCar Grid Rival.
yeah, I mean, I put 4 cards in. I'm like, whatever. This year's
Uh,
been
uh,
anything but fun, so I'm gonna make it fun.
Honestly, if it wasn't for F1, I probably wouldn't have gone in on 4 cards. I probably would have not had probably 1 card, but I was just like, whatever. We're doing well. Let's just roll with it. We're using F1 funds for this. I like it, so I'm just putting it in for myself. And yeah, man. Well, let's talk. Or are there any other cards or any drivers you want to call out?
No, I mean, I took Ray Hall better 13.5. I was in between him or Foster, so um, yeah, I don't have a huge conviction on that play, but I just think Ray Hall will be decent here. So that would be kind of like pick your better flavor there. If you like Foster or Ray Hall, if you were looking to, I think it's fine to back a Ray Hall card here.
Yeah, no, I just couldn't get myself to do it. I just couldn't. Um, okay. But yeah, I do agree though, by the way. I just didn't know. I wasn't sure. 13.5 just felt like, oh, that might be his right at 13, may end up 14. I don't know. Yeah,
Could get sweaty. Yeah.
yeah. Well, fantasy, man, let me tell you, last week was so good. So good. I had Felix Rosenquist as my star driver. He got me like 300 points alone, just him. I had Armstrong, Pillow, Foster, McLaughlin, and Herta, which just imagine if McLaughlin actually was higher up. But
Yeah.
I'm there. I'm almost to top 10. We're almost back. We're almost back into it.
I'm sneaking behind you. I'm 28th. I've slowly crept up too, but not as rapidly.
I'm shocked. I'm like, again, my strategy has just been now I have 4 drivers still logged in because I just signed Pillow for last week. I have Scott for 3 more, Herta for 2. Herta's been Felix. I signed for 5. I don't know if that was going to be a mistake though. He did awesome last week. Didn't really do great the week before, so he might not do that great here, but we'll see. Now I'm stuck with got to pick 2 more because I had Foster and who did I have? An Armstrong for 1 race, just for 1. And I probably should have kept Armstrong, man. Why did I do that? Yeah.
I love Lingard has fallen below the star value driver. That's who I'm looking at a lot. I probably shouldn't give away too much of my hopes and strategies here, but I hope that Newgarden kind of has another quiet race because that would mean he would roll into Iowa with his salary below the star value threshold, which I would definitely throw it on him for Iowa. So if he has a good race this week, I think he'll go back over that, unfortunately. But yeah, anyways, for this week, I think you could buy into playing cars, you can buy into Andretti cars, you can buy into Ray Hall cars, and cars too. They're pretty. like I mentioned before, if the only Penske I'm really interested in this week would be McLaughlin. Erickson is pretty cheap as his salary just continues to plummet.
I can't trust Erickson, but now I'm looking to see what was Lundgaard like last year at Iowa, because I want to know if I got to sign him for 1. Do I sign him for 2? Do I go for 5? What am I
Yeah, well,
doing?
he was in the Rahal car, so
That's
they
true.
barely keep those things functional around the short
That's
ovals.
true. That's true.
It's just hard to know what he is on ovals. I don't think he's shown much this year, really, but
Yeah, I'm just yeah. No, but I like the play. I'm hoping, and I think that's what I kind of lined up for. With I think I'm gonna have. No, actually, I'll still have Herder for 1. We'll see if I have enough salary. I may have screwed myself. See, that's what I get. But that's why I assigned McLaughlin, is because I knew like I was coming up. He should be pretty strong too. So, but
it's kind of crazy. Polo is for still being as good as he's been, but
you know what? He's not worth the points, to be honest with you, as I've seen, because like last week he won, right? And he got me less points than Marcus Armstrong.
yeah, that's hard.
It's because
Yeah.
he's not getting you those overtakes. He's not getting you a lot of those things that, normally if you find a value in the drivers behind, and the ones that have lower
Yeah,
salaries, they're going to get you all that. And it's not been that great. I like the comfort of it, and the point of me signing him was he had just had a DNF, and I was like, oh well, his salary is now like 26.7. I was like, I'll take it. But I think I've learned you probably could look elsewhere if you want to be very cute with it. So
yeah, that's just like you said, it's more of just a comfort thing of
comfort.
it's like all year I've been trying to pick up Penske's at the right time, and then they all wreck.
Yeah.
I could have just probably had below and collected his casual points, So,
Yeah. Cool. Any I guess last thoughts, remarks, plays, anything like that before we wrap up?
no, and I mean, unfortunately, we just have outrights, so I mean, sure there'll be more coming. Hopefully, get some good rival qualifying. I would love to finally get a chance to redeem my Indy 500 bad beats that I had there. It still kind of pains me. I haven't been able to right those wrongs, but um, no, just I don't know if I'll be able to watch this race live, with, 4th of July weekend stuff, but catch it at some point and hopefully see my bets win.
Yeah, I will see. It's on Sunday at noon, which I think I should be able to. I think a lot of my activity might be on Friday and Saturday, so I'm probably going to miss qualifying and practice potentially. So we'll see. But yeah, man, let's hope we cook this weekend. Finally, let's get a nice winning weekend for everyone, and we'll see you. See you Friday. Actually, still Wednesday.
Yeah, all right.